Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we are taking a stack of source material that looks on the surface like it belongs in the self-help aisle.
Oh, definitely. Like sandwiched somewhere between How to Win Friends and Atomic Habits, right?
Exactly. And we are dragging it, maybe kicking and screaming, over to the linguistics department.
That's probably the most accurate way to describe it. Because, if you spend even 5 minutes on the internet, the morning routine is a genre unto itself.
It is.
It's usually all about ice baths, gratitude journals, 4.0 a.m. wake-up calls.
Drinking mushroom coffee before the sun is even up. Yeah.
Right. It dominates that whole productivity culture conversation.
But the source we're analyzing today, it's a guide and an audio piece called My Productive Morning in English, Learn English Fast. It flips that script entirely. It's using the structure of a morning routine not to make you a CEO or a biohacker, but to build the architecture of a new language in your brain.
And that's the thing. It falls under this big umbrella of morning mastery. But the mastery here is fluency, not just efficiency.
It's a crucial distinction.
It is. We aren't here to critique the habits themselves.
Right, whether you should stretch or check email first.
Yeah, that's irrelevant to us today. We're looking at how this specific source uses a familiar linear narrative, waking up and starting the day, as a sort of Trojan horse.
A linguistic Trojan horse. I love that image.
Yeah.
You think you're just listening to someone talk about brushing their teeth, but secretly you're downloading the syntax of the English language.
Exactly.
So let's start with the vibe of the source, because it's very intentional. It described itself as a calm, motivating conversation. It explicitly avoids that high-energy drill sergeant intensity you get in a lot of language learning apps. So why is that specific emotional setting so important for a beginner?
Well, it comes down to a concept in second language acquisition called the effective filter hypothesis.
Okay, the effective filter. Let's unpack that.
Think of it like a gate in your brain.
A gate.
Yeah, and if your anxiety levels are high, if you're stressed, bored, or, afraid of being judged, that filter goes up. The gate closes.
So the information can't get in.
The input literally bounces off. You might hear the words, but you don't acquire them. The source material here is designed to lower that filter.
By being calm.
By emphasizing a short, relaxed monologue and a calm atmosphere, it's trying to put the learner in a state of relaxed alertness.
So if a teacher is screaming, conjugate the verb at you, your brain is actually prioritizing survival over learning.
Effectively, yes. Your cortisol spikes and the language centers just shut down. This source creates a safe harbor. It's a calm conversation, which signals to the brain, you are safe. You can open the gate.
An environment where you can practice the sounds without all the chaos of the real world.
Exactly.
It's interesting you mentioned monologue, because the source really emphasizes that this is a narrative. It's not just a flashcard deck of vocabulary words. It's a story with a scenario and flow.
And context is everything. The human brain is a pattern matching machine, not a dictionary.
Right.
If I give you a list of 10 random verbs, run, eat, jump, philo, you might remember 3 of them tomorrow.
If I'm lucky.
But if I give you a story where one action leads logically to the next, you're much more likely to retain the whole sequence. The logic acts as a hook for the memory.
Okay, so let's break down that sequence, because the source maps it out almost like a screenplay. It starts with phase 1, the awakening.
Waking up early and starting the day calmly.
There is that word calmly again. It seems to be the anchor of this entire method. But linguistically, why start there?
Because it grounds the learner in the most universal experience possible. No matter where you are from, what culture you're in, what language you speak.
You wake up.
You wake up. You don't need to explain the concept. You just need to attach the English label to the existing neural pathway. It removes cognitive load so the learner can focus entirely on the new words.
Then we move to phase 2, which the source calls the action. We get a list of specific habits: stretching, planning, breakfast.
And this is where we get into what we call high-frequency domains. If you are learning English, or any language really, you don't need to know how to discuss quantum mechanics in your first month.
No.
You need to know how to discuss your body stretching, your mind planning, and your sustenance eating. These are the pillars of daily existence.
It's utility over complexity.
Exactly. The source is selecting words that offer the highest return on investment. If you learn the word stretch, you can use that in a gym, at a doctor's office, in a casual conversation. It's a versatile tool.
Then we hit phase 3, the transition, so preparing for work or study. And finally, phase 4, the result.
Which is feeling focused and positive.
Right.
But I want to pause on that transition phase because it's often overlooked, but it's where the magic happens.
Okay.
In language learning, the hardest part isn't usually the nouns or the verbs. It's the bridges between them. How do you get from breakfast to work?
The connector words.
You need connector words. This narrative arc teaches those transitional elements naturally. You aren't just learning shower and bus. You're learning how to move between those two states.
So it provides a skeleton. First I did this, then I did that.
It's a narrative skeleton. And the source makes a pretty bold promise here. It says, this structure will help you sound natural and clear, one morning at a time.
One morning at a time. It sounds like an addiction recovery slogan.
It does a little, yeah.
But it implies a very specific type of consistency, doesn't it?
Spaced repetition. That's the key to long-term memory. You don't learn a language by cramming for 8 hours once a month. You learn by doing 10 minutes every single day.
And by tying the lesson to the morning routine, something that happens automatically every 24 hours, you are hacking the habit loop.
You are. The alarm clock becomes the trigger not just for waking up, but for the lesson itself.
Let's dig into the linguistic toolkit provided by the source. So we have the skeleton, but we need the bricks and mortar. It lists specific vocabulary. Wake up, brush, exercise, plan. To an advanced speaker, these sound incredibly basic. Is there more going on here than just see Jane run?
Oh, absolutely. This connects back to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
In any language, you use about 20% of the words 80% of the time. Plan, make, do, go, have.
Mm-hmm.
If you master these simple, high-utility verbs, you can navigate almost any situation.
So it strips away the obscure stuff to focus on what actually drives communication.
Right.
But here is where it gets technical, and honestly, this is the part I found most fascinating.
Aha.
The source highlights a specific grammatical focus, the present simple tense.
Yes.
Now, for our listeners who haven't been in a grammar class in 20 years, why is the present simple the weapon of choice here?
This is one of those things native speakers do instinctively but rarely think about. So we have the present continuous, I am eating toast.
Meaning right now, this second.
Right now, if you walked into the kitchen, you'd see me chewing. But the present simple, I eat toast, doesn't mean I'm eating it now. It means
I am the kind of person who eats toast.
precisely. It describes a truth, a habit, a state of being.
A permanent or semi-permanent reality.
Exactly. I wake up early, I plan my day. By forcing the learner to use the present simple, the source is helping them construct an identity. It's not just reporting an action, it's claiming ownership of a lifestyle.
That's a powerful reframing. It shifts from describing what I'm doing to describing who I am.
And that is the essence of fluency. When you can comfortably describe your reality and your habits, you feel like you inhabit the language. You aren't just a tourist visiting it, you live there.
The source also focuses on what I like to call glue words. It lists time expressions, early in the morning, after that, then.
Discourse markers.
Yeah.
And honestly, these are the difference between robot speech and human speech.
Robot speech, you mean like the choppy, I wake, I eat, I work.
Exactly. That is the Tarzan phase of learning.
Yeah.
It conveys meaning, but it's exhausting to listen to because the listener has to do all the work to connect the dots.
Okay.
But when you add those glue words, early in the morning I wake up, then I eat. After that, I work. Suddenly the listener relaxes. It flows.
It creates a relationship between the events. After that, tells my brain, okay, the previous event is finished, get ready for a new one.
And teaching these explicitly alongside the verbs is what makes this source effective for fast learning. It creates the illusion of fluency even before the vocabulary is huge.
You sound sophisticated because your structure is sophisticated, even if your words are simple.
Exactly right.
I want to touch on the positive habit language the source mentions. It encourages using words like calmly, productive, focused. This feels like it's veering back into self-help territory.
It is a little.
Is there a linguistic benefit to this positive framing, or is it just trying to make us feel good?
It's both. I mean, first, purely linguistically, you're introducing adverbs calmly and adjectives productive. That adds syntactic complexity.
Sure.
But there's a massive psychological component here. If you associate English practice with feeling focused and positive, you're going to want to do it again.
It's conditioning, Pavlovian English.
In a way, yeah. If the practice sentences were, I woke up late, I missed the bus, I felt terrible, your brain would subconsciously start avoiding the lesson because it's associated with negative emotions.
Right.
By pairing the target language with a dopamine hit of, I am being productive, you're hacking your own motivation system.
Okay, let's move to the methodology. The source isn't just something you listen to while you wash the dishes. It has a specific instruction. Pause, repeat, and try describing your own morning.
This is the pivot from passive to active learning. We consume so much content these days, but just hearing it doesn't build the motor skills required to speak.
Motor skills, we usually think of language as a mental exercise like doing math in your head.
But speaking is a physical, athletic act. Your tongue, your lips, your jaw, your vocal cords, they're muscles. They have to learn the choreography of English sounds, which might be totally different from your native language. The pause and repeat method, it's often called shadowing, is essentially gym time for your mouth.
So you're literally training the muscle memory.
Yes, you hear the model speaker say, "I plan my day," and you immediately mimic the speed, the intonation, the rhythm. You don't just say the words, you copy the music of the sentence.
If you don't physically make the sound, your mouth won't know what to do in a real conversation.
It won't. And then there's the second part of the instruction. Try describing your own morning. This is where you go off script.
That's the transfer phase.
Right. You take the template, the skeleton we talked about,
Right.
and you hang your own meat on it. Maybe you don't exercise. Maybe you meditate.
Or you drink tea instead of eat breakfast.
Sure. But you keep the structure. I wake up, then I drink tea. This is how you move from memorization to generation. You're generating original language within a safe, pre-built framework.
The source has this title, Learn English Fast, but then the content is described as slow-paced and repetitive. That feels like a contradiction.
It does.
We're in a culture that wants everything instantly. Is slow really the way to fast?
It's the paradox of proficiency. If you try to speak fast before you have the structures internalized, you just practice mistakes. You become very fluent at speaking broken English.
You calcify the errors.
Right. And those fossilized errors are incredibly hard to fix later because you've practiced them thousands of times. By slowing down, by listening to this slow-paced monologue, you are building high-fidelity neural pathways.
So you get it right from the start.
You get the pronunciation perfect, you get the grammar perfect.
Yeah.
And once the pathway is solid, speed is just a byproduct. You can only drive a car fast after you've mastered the mechanics of steering and braking at slow speeds.
It reminds me of that military adage. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast.
It applies perfectly to linguistics. The source is forcing you to slow down so you can eventually speed up without crashing. It's forcing you to be deliberate.
I want to zoom out a bit. We've been looking at this as a language tool, but looking at the source material, it's selling a lifestyle, isn't it? It's not just about English.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's aspirational content. It's not just teaching you English. It's teaching you to be the kind of person who speaks English.
And in the global imagination, that person is often viewed as
Modern, international, organized, successful.
it's bundling the language with a set of values. I am productive, I am calm, I am focused.
And that's just smart content design. If the source was my lazy morning where I engage in bad habits, it wouldn't be very motivating to repeat every day. We want to mimic the better version of ourselves.
So the listener is role-playing, even if their real morning involves hitting snooze 5 times and spilling coffee on their shirt.
Right.
For 10 minutes, they get to inhabit this persona of morning mastery.
And that role-playing is a rehearsal for reality. If you say, "I start my day calmly," enough times, you might actually start doing it.
So what's the big takeaway here for our listeners? A lot of people tuning in might be trying to master a skill, a language, coding, just getting their life in order.
The takeaway is, don't despise the mundane. We tend to want to learn the cool stuff first, the slang, the complex arguments. But mastery is built on the foundation of the simple daily routine. If you can describe your morning perfectly, you have the structure to describe your business plan or your life philosophy later.
It's about valuing the bricks, those high-frequency words, and the mortar, the grammar that holds them together.
And it's about the narrative, structuring your learning as a story, not a list. Our brains are wired for story. Use that wiring to your advantage.
I have a final thought I want to throw at you. We've talked a lot about how this source teaches us to describe our morning, but I wonder about the feedback loop. If I wake up tomorrow and I narrate my morning using these words, if I say to myself, I am starting my day calmly, I am being productive, does the language actually change the quality of the morning?
That's the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, loosely applied. Does the language we use determine the thoughts we can have?
Exactly. If I don't have the word for rushed in my morning script, am I less likely to feel rushed?
I think there is strong evidence for that. If you narrate your life as a series of calm, focused actions, you are essentially directing a movie of your own life. where you are the composed hero.
You're scripting your own emotional regulation.
You are telling yourself a story about who you are, and eventually, you become that story.
So the morning mastery isn't just about mastering English. It's about using English to master the morning.
That's the deep dive right there.
Something to try tomorrow, everyone. Don't just drink the coffee, narrate the coffee. Then I drink the coffee. After that, I conquer the world. Thanks for joining us.
A pleasure.
See you in the next one.